Is this thing on? I can't tell. Okay, so guys, you've got to make sure you're subscribing. 700 subscribers is so close. Come on, you guys can do it, because if you don't, I'm going to magically disappear your cats or whatever, because I know you all have cats, you people. Well, I don't have much time left, so we're gonna... Dude, what have I told you about recording my videos? Guys, I actually don't know what I meant to do about this guy. He's getting a little bit creepy, and he just keeps coming into my room and starts recording all my videos for, like, no reason whatsoever. So, like, I guess you got to do what he says, because otherwise, I don't know, I just looked at the files and he said he's going to magically disappear your cats. So, if you like your cats, you got to subscribe. Come on, guys. So, today, we are going to be getting straight into The Apprentice. We're looking at episode 4, and today they went on a little bit of a scavenger hunt around Jersey. It was an interesting episode. Some people had better strategies than others. It seems like we're really, like, sort of, what's the word I'm looking for? We're really committed to the team names of Nexus and Supreme, but spelt weirdly. So, yeah, it's very clear that one team is a lot stronger than the other, and it's actually getting quite embarrassing now, because some people have lost 4 times in a row. 4 times in a row. That is mortifyingly embarrassing. Oh, bit tough, innit? Bit tough. But without much further ado, let's get straight on into the episode then, shall we? So, as I said at the beginning of the episode, this was kind of a scavenger hunt around Jersey to try and pick up different items to bring back to the boardroom, be like, yo, we got all these items, here they are, and we got them for the cheapest price possible. Really, this is a negotiating task. It's one of those things where you have to go around, try and get the best deal possible, and for the most part, one team was leagues above the other team, and it just goes to show sort of how poor some people's sort of skills are when it comes to negotiating. So the two teams were headed by two different people. Raj led Team Nexus and Jack led Team Supreme, and they had very drastically different approaches to the way that they set up their different teams, or like sub teams within their big teams. That's so confusing, but you get what I mean. So Jack decided to put Amina in charge of like the secondary group, but he also decided to give them a lot of items that nobody had any idea what they were. It really did wind me up when they were like a jersey with an anchor on it. Oh, no idea. Can't be as easy as just like a jumper. No, it literally was just a jumper. It's a jersey with an anchor on it. Like, come on, I knew that just from, I've never been to Jersey, but they're not gonna give you something that means something completely different. Do you know what I mean? God. And as for Raj, she split the team up again, and it was actually quite a good split. I thought that it was like both teams had strong people on. She split them up sort of equally and with sort of some kind of what's the word I'm looking for? It felt very equal. It didn't feel like what Jack had done where he shafted the other group with the ones that they had no idea what they were. So yeah, I feel like on the whole, both teams had drastically different approaches to the setup, but we're going to get into what they bought, and I'm going to sort of do it slightly differently, whereas I'm going to talk through the items and how they got them, how each team approached the task for each item, and hopefully it will make a little bit of sense. So we're going to start with the apple brandy. Now, on Raj's team, the apple brandy was priced at, I think, $39.95. Now, before I get into this, I had a real problem this episode with the negotiating with independent retailers. It just felt really scumbaggy, if I'm being 100% honest. I know it's not really like the apprentice contestants' fault, because that's literally the challenge, but it did feel really weird that they're going around to all of these independent retailers and they're literally being asked to like, yo, can we get this for like a 10% discount? No. What do you mean a 10% discount? This is the price. Pay the price. I was actually embarrassed for a lot of this episode, because it was quite mortifying to see them be like, your price is £24, but our price is maximum £4. What? Huh? Ah, yeah, it was really uncomfortable and difficult to watch. But anyway, moving on to the apple brandy. Raj managed to get a 5% reduction on the price, so I think they ended up paying like something like £37 something, which isn't amazing. It wasn't the best, because on the other team, Jack managed to get a 10% reduction, or I think it was actually 12.5% in the end, because he managed to get the apple brandy for $34.95, which was at least £3 cheaper than the other team. So I feel like they had different attempts. Raj didn't really butter the woman up as much as Jack did. Jack was really laying it on thick, really sort of taking an interest in it, etc., etc. But it was difficult to watch them be like, oh, would you pay can we pay £24 for this? No. Can we pay £25? No. Can we pay 28? No. Can we pay 30? No. Can we pay 33? No. It was just, it was so painful to watch, and it only got more and more uncomfortable from here on out. Honestly, it only got more uncomfortable, and I think it also goes to show sort of how, not delusional, but also just sort of how disconnected these people are from independent retailers, because sometimes the people were like, this doesn't even cover the cost to make it, so why would I sell it to you for less than it costs to make it? That's horrific. That's bad business practice. Yeah, honestly, bit tough. So we're now going to move on to the Jersey Wonders. They had to get 24 Jersey Wonders, and Paul on Raj's team managed to get them for £10. 24 Jersey Wonders for £10, which was already a little bit of like that's a bit low, but like, I'll do it for you guys. Sure, why not? Whereas on the other team, the other Paul with I think it was Amina and Onyeka, I feel like. Was it Onyeka? I think it was. I can't honestly, I watched it last night and I was feeling a bit ill, so my memory's a little bit shaky. But they were like, oh, okay, we want 24 Jersey Wonders for £4. And the woman was like, that doesn't even cover my ingredients cost. Like, what do you mean £4? I will do a discount for you if you get stuck in the kitchen. And so they helped in the kitchen, which wasted a lot of time. And then they were like, okay, how much? And they ended up on a price of £13.50 for 24. So already the other team has managed to get £3.50 less. Well, they paid £3.50 less for the exact same quality, and they haven't had to help out. They haven't had to help out with the making of it. So it was very clear that one team had a better idea of how they were going to do it, and I feel like they just did it a lot better, if I'm being 100% honest. Raj's team just really knocked it out of the park. So up next we have the Surfboard, and I gotta say, the Surfboard negotiations was a disaster for both teams, and it was really uncomfortable to watch both teams. Flo headed up her side of the discussion and was like, okay, we're looking for like £70, £80. And the guy was like, no, 180. And they were like, okay, well, we are going to like another store, so like we'll be back later. They walked out, and then we're like, fuck this, we're just gonna walk back in. And I was like, no, because you've done we're going somewhere else. You've got to go somewhere else, and you've got to come back, or you've got to leave it a little bit of time, not just walk straight back in. And then she was like, okay, can we do it for 120? And he was like, the max I'll do it for is, I think they managed to get it for 140, which like isn't a bad price. It's a £40 reduction off of what he was wanting. So like, I guess they did well. Yeah. So it was just a bit of a disaster because of the whole walking out and then walking back in again thing. And then secondly, the nightmare that was the other team's discussion, I think it was Maura and Jack. Maura was like, okay, how much you wanting for this? And he said £210. And she went, okay, what about 190? Because Jack had said max we're willing to pay is 200. So like Maura probably should have gone a little bit lower, but I think she realized that this guy was not going to pay anything less than like sort of near 200. So she went for 190 to try and just get it down a little bit. And then Jack swoops in and goes, actually 120. And the guy was like, no, 190 final offer, or you're getting nothing. And then Maura was like, okay, just Jack, just and then Jack was like, no, 150. And I was like, Jack, you're ruining this negotiation just for the sake of trying to look like you're good at negotiating. You're not doing anything good. You've botched this big time, and now we're stuck at 190. Oh, how insulting is it that you came in at 120 when he said 190 final offer? That's insulting. Yeah, it was tough to watch. It was really, really uncomfortable and tough to watch, I gotta say. But it is what it is. This whole episode was a little bit uncomfortable to watch with the negotiations. I thought this was going to be a really entertaining one. I didn't realise they were going to have to, like, haggle down the price. Because I just think that, especially from independent retailers, it's just a bit scumbaggy, innit? It's just a bit scumbaggy. So it's time to talk about the oysters. They had to get 12 freshly shucked oysters. And Jack's team managed to get them 12 for £24.50. Sam did a good job of sort of haggling the price down. It was meant to be £30. She managed to get it down to £24.50. I thought she did pretty good, but Jack was obviously disgruntled with the fact that she didn't come in at the 75% below retail asking price. Who is asking 75% below? That's ridiculous. Nobody in their right mind is going, oh, okay, you want £10. How about £2.50? No! What? That's absolutely crazy. Nobody in their right mind is saying yes to that deal. That's ridiculous. That's a bad deal. And it seems like Jack is just making bad moves all over the place. He's been good so far, but this episode he really sort of stepped up and made bad moves. But yeah, Sam managed to get 12 for £24.50, which isn't bad. That's just a little over £2 each, I think. £2.10 maybe. Whereas the other team went to the source, but they found that they weren't shucked, basically. And so they asked, can you shuck them? And they were like, yeah. But then it got a little bit awkward. And then they decided to go somewhere else. And they basically just wasted a lot of fucking time on the oysters for no reason whatsoever. Like, the fact that they decided to wait around for the oysters to be shucked and then went somewhere else and got an even better deal. They ended up paying 42 pence per oyster. So I think they paid something ridiculous for 12, like £6.50. I haven't done the maths in my head, obviously, but like, it was a ridiculous amount of money. I was like, they've paid £24.50 and you've got it for like £6.50. Something ridiculous like that. That's absolutely crazy. But like I said, Raj's team just had better skills and better approach to the mission, I thought. They had a really, really concise, good plan. So it's time to just whiz through a couple of the price comparisons, because this is where it got a little bit frantic towards the end and it ended up being like a race towards the finish line. The Raj's team ended up paying £21 for the glass jar. Jack's group did not get a glass jar. They had to get a hand-blown glass jar. And the reason why Raj's team got it for a lot cheaper is because, I want to say his name's Steven? I actually can't remember his name. He's really lovely though. But he actually blew the glass himself, which was quite cool. And then Raj's team managed to get the shackle for £1.20, whereas Jack's team got the wrong sized shackle for £8. So they're going to incur a fine for getting the wrong size shackle, which was interesting. Then they had like a massive problem with pronouncing the word bushin. Don't ask me. Honestly, don't ask me. But they Raj's team paid £31, whereas Jack's team paid £32. So only a pound difference. It seems like a decent price. And then the last thing that they had to get was the jersey with an anchor on it. I think Raj's team paid £91, whereas Jack's team paid £93. It was tough to watch because they also, Amina, Paul and Onyeka made it back to the finish line late. So, like 15 minutes late. So, they've incurred a fine for that. So, honestly, it's not looking good for Jack's team. I think they've lost. But let's get back to the boardroom, shall we? So, the boardroom is always a very interesting part of the episode. It's where all the truths come out and also people start to lie, which I found very interesting. So, Raj's team was up first. Lord Alan Sugar was like, yo, why did you want to start at a 50% reduction? That's ridiculous. Who's paying 50%? And Raj was like, well, I just thought it was a good sort of starting mark. And he went, don't worry, you're not as stupid as that team, because Jack thought it was 75% starting. And I was like, rah, Alan Sugar is not happy with this at all. Apparently they mucked up with the oysters. They essentially just wasted too much time waiting around for the oysters, and therefore it meant that they weren't able to get the Jersey potatoes. Neither team got the Jersey potatoes. So it was just a bit of an L all round for those. But they did well with their prices. Pretty much every single price were, apart from the apple brandy, they paid less than the other team, which I thought was really, really good. So honestly, Raj's team absolutely smashed it in this episode. On to Jack's team. They didn't do well with the oysters. It was a little bit of a bad haggle, but honestly, like, it is just embarrassing compared to the other team who managed to get it for, like, a significantly lower price. But he did commend them for the fact that they managed to get a cheaper reduction on the brandy. They managed to get 12.5% rather than the 5% that Raj's team managed to get off. Jack then brought up the issue of the surfboard and started lying about it. And I was like, the tapes will show. Because he was like, oh, Maura wanted to stick at 210. And Maura was like, I fucking never said that. What are you on about? What's going on here? Like, everyone will back me up. And Jack was like, yeah, you went in 210. And so I had to kind of save it. As far as I recall from what we saw of the episode, she came in at 190, not 210. So I don't know what's going on with Jack misremembering it, but like a little bit awkward, a little bit uncomfortable to watch, I won't lie. They also got the wrong size of shackle, like I mentioned earlier. It's hard because like I didn't really know how to measure shackles, but what's a little bit more embarrassing is that the shackle they bought, none of the dimensions on it were 16 millimeters. So it was just a little bit embarrassing, I won't lie. And then last but not least, they missed stuff in the market. They went to a market and they kind of walked around and didn't really find anything. But there were items in the market that they could have gotten if they'd have just looked a little bit harder. And therefore, they probably could have got a better price for it and probably completed their mission as well. So, honestly, a bad run for Jack's team. Let's have a look at the results. So Jack's team ended up with 7 items out of the 9. They paid £395.20. They missed the potatoes and the glass jar, and they were also late back, and they got the wrong shackle. So their fines ended up being £274, meaning their total incurred cost was £669.50, which is insane. It also might not be £1.50 because the maths ain't mathing, but I might have just written down the numbers wrong, so just bear with me on that. But Team Nexus, which was Raj's team, they got 8 out of the 9 items. They spent £337.23, so they already paid less than the other team. They only missed the potatoes, so they got a £90 fine. So their incurred cost was £427.23, over £200 less than the other team, which is absolutely crazy. So, well done, Team Nexus. You absolutely smashed it for the second week in a row. Let's hope you're just as good next week, shall we? Okay, it's time to get into some blame game, I guess, but it's time to work out who was at fault today. Lord Alan Sugar was like, this is the worst performance on one of these tasks I've ever seen, which is brazy for him to say. That's absolutely crazy. Jack was called amateur for the fact that he was trying to buy for 75% under the asking price. I kind of agree. I think that's a ridiculous aim. As soon as he said it, I was like, what are you talking about? 75% of the asking price, fair enough, but not 75% off the asking price. There's a difference, my friend, and I think you should learn it. Amina was called out for her poor planning, but she also called out Paul for enabling it, because Paul would just get in the cab and be like, just drive, before they'd actually had any kind of plan. So they'd be driving in the wrong direction and then have to turn back around. So it feels like there's a little bit of a disconnect between those two. As for Maura and Jack, they kept arguing about the surfboard, and I was just like, rah, Jack's so sure, and it just felt uncomfortable, because then Sam started piping in and going, actually, I'm going to back Jack here, but Sam was actually the one that was backing Maura in the situation. So, like, I really don't know what's going on with Sam. Like, I didn't really appreciate that from her. Like, you know, she's my fave, but like, come on, bestie, sort yourself out. What was going on there? Because like, it's not okay. Don't throw Maura under the bus, because actually none of this was her fault. Sorry, that's just how I feel. And then Verdi got called out for getting the wrong shackle. So then Jack was asked, who are you bringing back into the boardroom? And he chose Amina and Maura, and you could tell Maura was fucking fuming. And then something that I didn't expect to happen was that Lord Alan Sugar was talking to his associates. God, I can't remember their name. Is it Tim and... I want to say Jenny, but it's not Jenny. I can't remember her name. Off the top of my head, it's gone. But the woman was basically like, yo, all of them should be back in this room. Every single one of them. And Lord Alan Sugar went, actually, yeah, you're right. Can you send all of the candidates back in? Get them back in here. Stop them going back to the house. I was like, rah, it's all going to kick off. It's all going to kick off because he wants more answers. This was tough to watch because everyone was kind of on panic stations. Everyone was like, shit, we might be going home. But at the end of the day, it was actually Jack and Amina, both who got fired for this task. I understand why. I think Jack made some very poor decisions, very poor management. Amina, poor of her time management, poor planning. It was just poor all around from the two sort of managers of the team. So yeah, I can understand why they've gone. Still don't know how Verdi's skating through, because like this is his 4th loss in a row. This is Jack's 4th loss in a row, and this is Paul's 4th loss in a row. Raw, how are they so bad at this game? Come on. Come on, you could do this. Well, I'm guessing it is actually quite hard. But come on, sort yourselves out. But yeah, Jack and Amina went home. Sad times. Is what it is. Not really much you can do. They were kind of shocked that it was a double firing. But I was expecting it at some point in the series. Do you know what I mean? I feel like they always have a double firing. And it's like the sort of double save in Drag Race, where it's like, oh, you're both going through to the next stage of the competition. Nobody's going home. It's kind of the opposite here, where 2 people are going home. Yeah. Anyway, thank you guys very, very much for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed, and I will see you guys in the next episode of whatever I decide to do. Probably going to be starting Australia season 1 of The Traitors, but I will take that with a pinch of salt, because I can only do that till Monday, and then Big Brother starts. And then it might have to be like an episode here or there based on when I've got time to record 2 videos in a day. So just be prepared for that. Don't be expecting one every single day. Obviously this week, potentially, unless I'm like really, really busy. But either way, thank you guys for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed, and I will see you guys later. Keep on ranting. Bye now.